Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Power FM and Africa Independent Television AIT. My name is Amechi Anakwe. Now, with the 2027 general election now in the campaign season, yes, it has reached a fever pitch. The ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, last weekend constituted its presidential campaign council to lead President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's re-election bid. The party was actually and the only one to have named its presidential campaign council. President Tinubu will chair the council. His deputy, Vice President Kashim Shettima, and APC National Chairman Nentawe Yewatda will serve as vice chairman, while former Zamfara State Governor Senator Abdulaziz Yari will serve as director general. Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma was named secretary. But beyond the elaborate structure, the composition of the council has sparked some controversy with questions over the inclusion of 7 public officials in the partisan campaign roles, as well as the appointment of individuals who have faced allegations of financial impropriety, individuals who are being investigated by anti-corruption commissions. And there have been also complaints over exclusion of some APC stakeholders and political blocs. There are some names that were involved with the campaign organization for 2023 that are conspicuously missing. And so there are also reports that the president was forced to record the list, saying there is every need for amendments to deal with these issues and expand the membership. Our guest today is Dr. Omar Tanko Yakasei. He's a member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, and he'll be joining us to examine the council itself, the controversies trailing its composition, and what it means for the ruling party's chances in the 2027 presidential election. But before then, we will examine ongoing debate about fuel subsidy removal. Of course, fuel subsidy removal has been on the front burner with the different political parties and indeed especially presidential candidates taking varied positions. While Atiku Abubakar, who has sparked the debate, says he will reintroduce a subsidy in a different form, President Bola Tinubu described that position as demonstration of serious ignorance on economy and governance. Now, the NDC's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, has entered the fray with his own position. He says he stands with subsidy, no removal of fuel subsidy if elected. He has identified the problem, which he says is the way and manner proceeds, savings from subsidy are applied. And he says the way it's applied is not directly benefiting the people. And if given the opportunity, he will spend it on key areas that will impact on the people. So the debate goes on. Perhaps it will be the biggest issue that will shape the 2027 presidential campaign issues. And it's good. Some Nigerians are saying we are moving away from ethnicity, religion to core issues of governance, of welfare and well-being, with the citizen at the center. My colleagues are here with me. Ujo Ejeye, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Amechi. Good morning to our viewers and listeners. You're welcome to the program.
And Shola Jaisimi, welcome also.
Thank you.
So let's kickstart with the position of Peter Obi at the Nigerian Bar Association conference in Port Harcourt. That was on Monday, where the issue took center stage when some presidential candidates were invited on a platform to offer perspectives.
Mismanagement of the proceed should not be the reason for not removing it. What we should have done is that when we remove subsidy, we would have given the people alternative usage for the subsidy. What we have today is that that removal and the attendant resources being recovered is also being mismanaged and stolen. For example, we have received, according to them, 16 trillion. We will, I said it before, go to my manifesto and see how we remove subsidy. We'll do it in an organized manner, and whatever we recover will be invested appropriately. And I just give you an example, because you have no time. let's say you remove subsidy, and you decided number one thing a nation needs to develop is health. And today, our health is very poor, our primary health care is very poor, where we are now have more maternal and child issues than countries like India. Assuming, let me use 5%. You said they received 15.8 trillion. So call it about 16 trillion. So 5% of that is just about 800 billion. And if you decide today, our biggest problem is issue of primary health care. If you decide to put primary health care in each ward, just each ward, in each ward, today it will cost you, from our own studies, an average of 100 million naira for one. We have 8,809 wards. Call it 10,000. And use 100 million naira for each. It will cost you 800 billion.
And so, another position on fuel subsidy situation. Now, for Bola Tinubu, it's gone, fuel subsidy, and there's no return to it. To Atiku Abubakar, I will reintroduce it, but I will make sure it goes to local refiners. To Peter Obi, I will retain it, but I will spend the savings judiciously. Would you?
Yes, it's good that we're having the different positions. At least that gives the electorate, something to choose from. And for me, it's not really whether subsidy is removed or not, because in the first instance, Nigerians really didn't benefit from subsidy removal because of the cabal that hijacked it. But if it is done in a reasonable way, in a way that puts Nigeria first, not Nigerians, then maybe Nigerians would have been able to benefit from it. But people have, those who are against subsidy is simply because subsidy was mismanaged, not because of any other thing. So if it's well managed, we'll benefit. And in this case, he says, okay, that's Peter Obi, that that he will remove subsidy, but he will do it in an organized manner and gradually. He's not going to do it all in one go like Tinubu did. And then that also presupposes that he will introduce palliatives that the people can, that can cushion the effect on the people, and the people can, at the long run, not be subjected to this kind of hardship that we have been seeing in the last 2 years. So I welcome the different arguments. Let the electorate pick who they want and whose argument they believe in.
And let the media also highlight the different perspectives to this debate. It's a healthy one. I was just looking at Mr. Peter Obi as he spoke to lawyers there in Port Harcourt. And, I said, well, healthcare, primary healthcare. And that's something that, unfortunately, the federal government has put its hands into. On a good day, if you look at the structure we run, that's something supposed to be at the state or, at the local government level.
Primary is local government.
Sorry?
Primary health care is supposed to be local government.
So if the local governments can't handle it, state governments have that right to do the needful. But because we have over-centralized our own federal system for a long time, you have him saying that. So if he thinks that he will put funding there, I want to tell Mr. Peter Obi that I hope he won't put his money in a sinkhole. Just at the weekend, there's a video trending. A member of a House of Assembly in a state close to Abuja here, Nasarawa, the man went, donated 50 ceiling fans to a general hospital, I think 50 mattresses, 50 this, 50 that, 50 that. He did that a few days ago. He went back there to say, what is that? They were now telling him story.
Most of the materials disappeared.
They have disappeared.
Into the tin.
So if a member of the House of Assembly can put some constituency stuff in a general hospital, which is a second tier, and people can do these kind of evil things, officials there will, allegedly sell off everything. I pray Mr. Peter Obi will not carry money from subsidy and put in the sinkhole. The problem is that those who are at the other tiers of government are ripping this country off. So we seem to, everything we put it at the doorstep of the federal authorities. We continue to lampoon the federal authorities. That's why Tinubu's administration keeps saying that, please ask your governors questions. Ask your deputies, ask your speakers and members, ask them questions how these funds are being used. So different perspectives to this debate about fuel subsidy. Like Mr. Peter Esele told us yesterday, though he dodged my question on whether he had read the article blueprint, because I needed to know his stand. If he looks at it and he tells Nigerians through our program that, oh, I see this one, I see that one, then we'll know where people stand. But that's his own position. So it's for all of us now, both the media, the citizenry, and the political elite, to push the agenda. Because, you know, as a young, small boy, very small boy, I remember the debates. I will pick a newspaper in the early 80s, young, small boy, sketch newspaper, Tribune, Daily Times, and all the other ones that were available then, and you see policy pronouncements of the various political parties. The UPN will say its own, MPP, Zig's party, yes, that's NPP.
NPN.
NPN, the ruling party, and you see that, and the newspaper will push it. So we in the media to have a huge role to play. We will not do free publicity for them, but we're doing what we're doing on behalf of the Nigerian citizens, so that when they get to the place to do their thumb printing, they will believe that, yes, this is what this person has said, and I will hold him or her accountable to what he has said as a candidate of a party at whatever level.
You made reference to what our guest yesterday, Peter Esele, former president of the TUC, said. And I'll start from where he stopped. He mentioned lack of structures, systems, and processes as problem. And he identified whether you're doing subsidy or you're removing subsidy, you're stuck with the same problem. And what does he mean by that? Now, if you're paying subsidy, we lack the structures and institutions to ensure that the payment we are making is getting to the right persons. Once we have the present structure of the Nigerian society, our governance framework is such that, like Uju mentioned, it will be stolen. And we saw how some persons were stealing subsidy. They would claim they imported petrol. Why they didn't do it? Yes. We lack the capacity, not just as a government, I'm saying as a society, to put those frameworks, systems, and processes in place to check and thwart that. Now, that's for payment of fuel subsidy. Now, when you remove the fuel subsidy and the benefits are there, 15 trillion we're told, shared by the different tiers of government, the federal government gets its own, states get, local government gets, and what happens? They are frittered away. Now, if you put money in the federal budget, 80% of them gone. If you put money in the state budget, you're putting the money directly into the pockets of the state governors. They go on jamboree, they spend lavishly on projects that will not impact on the people, and many of them are unaccounted for. So the absence of those institutional checks, those structures, those frameworks that will ensure that whatever decision you take works, they're absent. And so it becomes like a dilemma between the devil and the deep blue sea.
You see, they like investing in huge projects because that way you can embezzle more.
Yes.
If something is just maybe 100 million, what can you get out of it as a state governor? So that's why they keep investing in white elephant projects. But back to what Shola said about primary health care. And you said it's the duty of the local councils. And I said, how can the local councils adequately fund primary health care, which of course is the closest to the citizens? In the rural areas, the lack of primary health care has increased maternal and child mortality. We have seen
the worst case in the whole world.
Exactly. Because there are no, the primary health care clinics in my village is just a room without chairs, without table, without anything. You just see the signboard, clinic, and there's absolutely nothing to show for it. And I'm sure it's like that in several other places. And I say, how can the local government be responsible when the state governors spend their money for them? So the state governors should take responsibility because they're not giving that tier of government what is totally due to it. And they should take care of the primary health care centers and ensure that Nigerians stop dying anyhow. I mean, there are deaths that cannot be prevented, but the preventable ones should, something should be done about them. So let the governors be responsible. Tinubu knows why he's crying. Ask your governors. What are the governors? I looked at, the amount distributed to governors, some who got over 100 billion, and that's per quarter, right? The FAC allocation. And then, is it monthly? And then at the end of the day, you really don't see anything in place in their states.
And people are also asking, as you're telling us to ask the governors, we citizens are also asking you, the federal government, what are you doing with your own
Okay,
windfall?
because of the need to monitor,
Yes.
because of the need to follow the money. As you're giving the governors, also put machinery in place to monitor them, to ensure that these funds are judiciously utilized. That is very, very good. I saw some very bad pictures of the East-West Road that are talking about bad roads, flooding. You see, some roads are impassable right now in Ondo State, particularly in the riverine states. It's a terrible thing. People cannot pass through the road. People are on the road for 8 hours, 7 hours, and we are spending money. The Minister of Works is telling us that the roads are getting better. I really need to see those roads that are being constructed. I need to see those roads that are getting better.
The coastal highway is getting better. That's a great.
Is that the one that the citizens need?
I'm saying it with cynicism, actually.
Yes, that's what he will tell you, the minister.
Because you're expending money on the Calabar, Lagos
highway.
Calabar coastal highway. Meanwhile, the East-West Road that connects all the South states is left unattended to.
That's why I'm saying, if the president is telling us, as the governors, what they are doing with their
we're
money,
asking the
we
ministers
should also be
even.
asking the president, what are you doing with your biggest share from the federation account?
And the ministers that also get allocation.
Yes.
Why are the roads like this? Please, can the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, tell Nigerians why they cannot move from one point to the other? Some of us can say, okay, let's manage and buy tickets. What about those who don't have tickets? Why are foodstuffs
The minister
not...
has said the Benin-Asaba road is a concession given to a private company, that perhaps they will look into it. That is not directly being handled by the Minister of Works. You can also say that there are roads that are being constructed in many parts of the country, and you must give it to him. Multiple roads are being constructed despite,
it is not
apart
a
from
matter
the East-West Road.
It is not a matter of they will look into it. It's an emergency.
Okay.
People cannot move. They showed yesterday, if you see baskets and
has
baskets
promised to
and
get there
cartons
today,
of
I guess.
fishes,
Yes.
tomatoes and things, they are all rotting. The fishes are all, it's very painful. And these are riverine people. That's the only thing they survive on.
Okay.
So look at the ones that are very, very essential right now. When it comes to this kind of thing, you give priority to what
The
it
key
is
areas.
due. Yes,
Let's
key
bring
areas.
Inshallah.
Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, the Minister of Finance, who is the coordinating Minister of the Economy, was explaining to Nigerians last week in that live session, I think almost 2 hours or so, of how the government has been utilizing the funds that are, the federal government has been utilizing, excuse me, the funds that has accrued to it and all of that. I watched part of it. I read some of the write-ups that came up after that, and I said, well, it's good to try to explain. Whether your explanation is satisfactory enough is left for the Nigerian people, who will say, oh, I like this, this is satisfactory, I'm happy about the explanations given on this, or they will say, no, this is vague, this is not clear. And we had the divergent viewpoints on Mr. Oyedele's live session with the Nigerian people. So we will take our pick as Nigerians. I have just one vote. Drew has one. I bet you have one.
Which we may
Which
not use.
we're not
on
even allowed to
election day.
use
We
because
may
of
not
work.
use them.
I will use my own. I will leave duty and go and vote on that day. So our leaders are, they are trying.
That may amount to the religion of duty.
No. I will take an hour, 2 hours off and go and vote. Our leaders are trying their best. But that song tells us, is their best good enough? Whether that is satisfactory to those at whatever level is another issue entirely. Because, if we keep, we need to talk, and that's why...
I wonder which best you're talking about. Is it that they're limited in capacity, and so their best is certainly not good enough?
Yes, their best
that,
within their capacity.
Exactly.
So
It can't be
the best for a low capacity is a no best.
So Whether their best is good enough is the question now. Someone can have the ability to get 8 things done. She does 3. And you say, no, but you can do better than this. I say, that's my best. Of course, 3 over 8 is already failure. So that's the math I'm trying to draw.
Absolutely.
So, our leaders are very, it's good to, thank God for social media now. Before, probably if a TV medium does that kind of, exclusive story of the suffering of the people, they say this one is anti-government. But now people are doing their thing themselves. They are doing their own content. I saw the man, we carried his load and he took Okada and I said...
That Bini Asaba Road?
Yes.
I was calling out Minister Omahi, asking him to resign, that he has failed.
Perhaps
That's why the minister has insisted I'll be on that road today.
So back to my point, which is that if the media does that now, they'll say it's anti-government. And the media needs to get up and
No,
rise
if you
up.
do it constructively, they will not say it's anti-government.
We're in this country now.
Anyhow you say it, so the people in power will never see it.
Anyway, the problem we have identified, and I'm tying it back to the absence of structures, institution, framework, and processes that Esele talked about, our guest, Peter Esele, yesterday. It appears that if you go to a stream to fetch water with a basket, you're dissipating energy. As long as we have this defective structure in our polity, is all effort, no progress. All motion, no movement. Why is it that the best years of Nigeria were those of early 60s? We still make reference to them. Successive governments have failed. We thought Buhari was bad. We thought Jonathan was bad till Buhari came. And we started praising Jonathan. And we thought the city boy was better than Buhari. And he came and people were saying, if you return us to Buhari, that's what we want. And it's because of the structure we operate. Is that defective structure that does not allow local governments to function? Because how did we create the local government? Is it from the whims and caprices of the head of state and commander-in-chief during military administration? There were no objective criteria as to the feasibility, as to whether it will work, and whether the people we even own the process. It's the same thing with creation of state. Those that created it just went to sleep, or they were some of their friends lobbied them, and they issued decrees and they created state, and they think it will work. No, when the structure, when the foundation is poor, no matter the effort you make, whether you remove subsidy or you pay subsidy, because the framework is absent, because the structure is defective, that's why we continue to get worse by the day.
And we have inept leaders who don't know jack. They just want to control power and money. But they don't know anything about leadership. They don't know anything about the needs and aspirations of the people.
Well, I'll just give the leadership the benefit of the doubt. Some people, IBB, many of us know the story of a man who read up to PhD level. This man regarded as the social critic. Baba, of course, Dr. Taisho Lari, educationist, who in the 80s, from when IBB got into office in 85, he kept on lashing IBB, lashing him, throwing this, throwing that. IBB now, we're told IBB called him to Dodan Barracks and said, Doctor, why are you saying?
I'm creating a new
I'm going to
bank
give
for
you an agency to run.
People's
the
Bank.
People's Bank. And the People's Bank, under how many years he ran under? He called him back and said, to run this People's Bank, you cannot. How much Nigeria? So at times when we are at the other side, we can, say this, say that, say this. We have a right to say them. But we can give the benefit of the doubt. If there are positives, we talk about them, we give the kudos. If there are things that are very, very wrong, we hit them hard.
You see,
back to the issue of, this fuel
very
subsidy.
quickly.
Very quickly. Sani Abacha, he set up the PTF. He put Buhari there. We know what they did. Healthcare, at a lovely level, both at the federal and the state level. Roads, super, in this same country, between 96 and 98. Jonathan came with his own Shopee. We know what happened.
And why are they doing that? They believe the institutional framework are defective.
Correct.
The public service, the civil service, the structure of government I cannot guarantee delivery. If you pay subsidy, some people will steal it. If you remove subsidy and say, share this money to people through social investment, the same structure will steal it. So that it ties back to the issue of those defective structure. One last word from Uju before
all right. If you say Tai Sholari did not live up to his criticism nature because, he failed with People's Bank.
Yes.
I mean, must he be the one running People's Bank? Did he have the capacity to run it? Because Maria Shokenu came on board, and Maria did very good work. So if you look at it, that the Babangida gave it to him does not mean that critics cannot be effective in other areas. It's just like it was not his forte. And so he couldn't carry it out.
So he may have rejected the appointment.
Yeah, that's another option. Once you know it's a trap, it's a defective structure, don't go in because your good name may be tainted. You do your best, but the system will appropriate you. Even when we bring them from the diaspora, they were excellent in US, they were manning this institution in US, UK, Canada, we'll bring them. That defective system sucks them in. They don't have that strength to transform the system, and so it gets back to square one. We need to win, yes, but we saw how the system also frustrated her out.
But she achieved a lot.
Yeah, she tried her best.
Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Raypa Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
Thank you so much for staying with us. The All Progressives Congress, APC, the ruling party, was the very first to release its over 100 membership list of Presidential Campaign Council. It was a campaign council of heavyweights. The president himself involved. His deputy, vice president, involved. State governors, money bags, even those that are being investigated by the FCC, they all made the list. It became controversial. Now, there are reports, do not confirm, that the president has called back that list. There are some issues, some big men that were left out. Perhaps we are hearing that they are going to create room for them and all that. But you must give it to the APC, being the ruling party that are setting the pace by first releasing their own list. The other parties are yet to do that. And joining us now to discuss the import of that council and what value to bring into the campaigns and the elections, and of course the controversy trailing it, is a member of that council. Dr. Omar Tanko Yakasai, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so let's get straight to it. Like I said on this program yesterday, the APC has a right to constitute its presidential council. It has a right to add, subtract, and all that. Nobody has a right, to tell the APC what it needs to do. But the APC has seen now that we needed to have dotted some I's and crossed some T's. In your view, as a member of that party, does this bring the APC in the eyes of the electorate? And look, this party, it seems they have some things they are trying to cover.
All right, let me start by thanking you for inviting me, and I use this opportunity on behalf of my father, Ale Tanko Yakase, and the family. Thank President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for including me in the Presidential Campaign Council as a Deputy Director, Welfare, Morale and Support. The family is happy, and it's a recognition of the effort of President, my dad, in the first election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and now, and then also the input of our leader, Honorable James Abiodun Faleki. And right now I'm here. The council has not been inaugurated, so I will not be speaking on behalf of the Presidential Campaign Council, but I'm also the Director General of Tinubu Support Group, so which gives me an opportunity to also speak as an APC chieftain. So let me say that, you know, our party, as a ruling party, must always be the first to start. And other parties, probably because of lack of competence, always wait for the APC to do something before they take the step. They copy from us.
Would that be fair?
And
to say that because of lack of competence?
So if
they are taking their time too.
If you look at it from the congresses of the party, to the primaries of the party, to the presidential primaries of the party, everything that has happened based on INEC timeline, they always wait for APC.
They are checking.
But you see,
They always wait.
There are also insinuations that the APC, through their own maneuverings, have kept those parties busy at the courts, that they are so busy fighting many battles they cannot fully concentrate.
Are they not candidates now, and they are not registered by and recognized by INEC as candidates of the party? So I think it is their own internal dispute, which they have been unable to resolve. And APC, as a political party, have a very sound internal dispute resolving mechanism, and we have been able to address a lot of our issues. But they don't have. If they do have, we will not be having two PDP structures in this country. We will not be having an ADC that is also divided. So it is our own, we don't, as the president said, it is not our responsibility to solve their problem. They should solve their problems.
So it's your responsibility to go and scatter them.
We are not involved in
as the chief of staff to the president, they'll told somebody.
When you have a dispute within your party, you should use internal dispute mechanism to solve it. It's not a responsibility of APC to come to any party and help you solve it, and we are not involved in it.
Can they use it to solve the one of the courts?
So I thought the essence of democracy is having three fundamental organs: the executive, the legislature, and the law. And so when you take advantage of the law, it's good, because instead of resulting to violence to solve your dispute, you go to the court and let the court decide. I think they are exercising their fundamental right.
Some have said that while the APC is a political party and not a moral estate, you know, they are free to appoint anybody they want, even if they are ex-convicts or whatever. In fact, one of our males said so. But would you not say that it is proper in a decent setup, in a decent society, that those who have heavy moral baggages should be kept out of, you know, national affairs until they are cleared? And the APC has appointed people who have real baggages with the EFCC, and even in the eyes of the populace, in your campaign council. And that raises a whole lot of moral questions.
So you see, I think, I'm not a lawyer, but the Nigerian law states that you are not guilty until proven guilty. And if you go and pick an INEC form for you to aspire and become a candidate, the only criteria for you to be disqualified is a conviction. The fact that you may be in prison awaiting, you know, the end of your trial, and you will win, you will contest, and you will win. Senator Omishore was in the prison for a murder issue. Allegations. He contested in the prison, filled INEC form, did primaries, and won, and became sworn in as the... So I am saying that the APC does not necessarily condone such things, but you must treat individuals as innocent until they have been tried, found guilty, and judged. And so if ICBC is looking into you, it doesn't make you a convict. A convict. It doesn't make you a convict. So Nigerians need to remember that it's a country that is guided by law. The party must be guided by law. the president and everybody must be guided by law. If you treat your members as such when they have not been pronounced by the court, that will be not, you are not really doing justice, and that does not is not something that is legally good. So I believe that in other parties there are people who have been invited by EFCC, they are undergoing EFCC investigation, and they still remember the case of the former governor of Jigawa State, where he and his son were tried, Lamido. He went and contested for primaries and the PDP recently. They disqualified him. If you are used to use such yardstick to judge, he would not even have been an aspirant in that particular case. There are many cases like that. So I think that let the law dictate, how we live in this country, and then do not convict somebody before the court. I think even if the EFCC is looking at it, or ICP is looking at it, there has not been any arraignment. So you have to wait for the process to go through. If I am involved, if you are involved, the least you can ask for the country that you so much love as a patriotic citizen is that the law must be allowed to take its route and not to be judged by the people.
I understand the point.
So that is the point I'm trying to...
Yes, I understand quite well. In the eyes of the law, issue of presumption of innocence still stands, clear enough. But beyond that, because my argument is that when we remove morality from our societal life, it strips it of its very essence. We can put the laws from beginning now to eternity, but the issue of morality, you may not enforce it, but it's a norm, kind of. Now, there are some specific cases that, indeed, if you put to the table, it leaves much more questions than answers. For instance, Betedu, former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, was suspended by the president, and the president directed an interministerial committee to investigate. Years after, we have not seen any report turned in. The government has not told us the outcome of the investigation, whether she was found guilty or she was indeed
recommended for arraignment,
or whether she is innocent. But we see also the name coming. It throws up this issue, this confusion. What message is the government trying to send? I understand your position on the law, but I also want you to consider issue of morality. Yes, in school we're told if you want to win power, if you want to win, say, power, go to politics. If you want to do this, go to law. You don't go to ethics and values. But we can't wish it away from our society.
So I remember when Atiku was the vice president of this country, he had running court cases during Obasanjo's tenure, 8 years. And none of those cases, court cases that the federal government instituted against him, disqualified him in any way from contesting under the platform of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then AC. He was the candidate
of AC.
Of AC. Because he couldn't get a ticket on PDP, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu then, Asuwaju Bola Ahmed, gave him a platform to contest. And if it is issue of morality, I think that Atiku shouldn't have even attempted. He should have waited with the weight of the moral burden on his head to refuse to contest until all the court cases were cleared. But he contested,
does
and
that
later
make
on,
it right?
no, I'm saying that later on, all the court cases cleared him. He won all the court cases. Yeah. Now, if you have determined his fate before the court have done so, you would have not been fair to Atiku at that particular time. But he was allowed to go through. He contested. He lost the election, and later on won all the cases in court. So I am saying that no matter how much you want to weigh in with the moral aspect of it, what happened when a verdict is passed by the populace and then you are cleared by the court? And even the better edu issue, I don't want to go into it too much, but if you remember, it was a system that was running, and then she became a minister and continued with the system. And when later it was found that the system was faulty, she ended up being a victim of a faulty system that she ran with. Because when they established the humanitarian ministry, that was the system of disbursing funds within that humanitarian ministry.
Through the private accounts of
whatever it was. So
with.
I'm saying that you must give credit to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Because when he came and realized that the system was faulty, and Better Edu ran with the system and Nigerians complained, he did the right thing. That is the moral response by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He removed his serving minister, who was running with an old system, and said, investigate, and then make sure that the system is corrected if it's found to be faulty. And it is ongoing. We have not even gone to court. So I believe that it's a process.
So the investigation is still ongoing.
So what I'm saying is, you must not be quick to convict people before the real process.
We are just asking for the outcome of the
investigation. So the process is
investigation.
on. The process is legal. Do you know how long it took for the United Kingdom to clear Diziani of our own issues? Since the end of the tenure of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Why did Nigerians say that the UK system is so slow?
I don't know
but at the end,
how long it took the government to press charges against El-Rufai.
So what I'm saying
It didn't take forever.
What I'm saying is that, when you come on air and declare that you have bugged the phone of the National Security Advisor of a country, it becomes an emergency. And so therefore the urgency of that particular matter is different from the urgency of investigating financial crime. And when you want to investigate financial crime, you have to trail. And trailing is a diligence system that will make sure that when you go to court, you win the case. You don't want to go to court and be losing. And so you have to do due diligence. But El-Rufai came on air boldly, courageously, said he has bugged the national. If you bugged your own phone, the country should be able to be at alarm. And it should take a serious decision on that, because the privacy and the security of every Nigerian is paramount. And so if you do that to national security, do you know how many intelligence is filtered in the Office of National Security Advisor? And so when you bug the phone of the National Security Advisor, it amounts to a serious criminal offense. And if you allow it to stay, how much information would everybody have given to AYS?
Okay, the court is in session and we
it.
allow the courts to. I just wanted to highlight it, and it's good you have offered explanation. Now, how do you think this council can deliver? If you take a look at it, Yari, is that the DG, right?
Yeah.
Is from the northwest, Zamfara. And that's the region with the biggest number of votes. You're from Kano also. Kano is part of the northwest, and we know what is happening in Kano, the Pampasea factor, and all that. So it suggests that the northwest will be a battleground. I want your comment on this, and I want your comment also, because what we are hearing out there, the president was sharing dividends of his electoral victory. All the revenue generating agencies went to the Lagos boys. But when it's time to canvass for the votes, the northerners are now made the DGs and all that. I also want your perspective on that.
All right, I think let us divide the issues. How you reward, how you appoint, and then how you campaign. Abdulaziz Yari is from Zamfara State. He was a former governor of Zamfara State. He ruled that state and later on became a senator, and therefore understood that when Buhari came as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria of blessed memory in 2015, the issues were Boko Haram insurgency in northeastern Nigeria. And everybody who is a northerner was worried about the security measures being taken to address the northeast Boko Haram insurgency. And that was the basis upon which Buhari contested and won. And Buhari, as a former head of state, former general who fought civil war, who knows the military and knows the security architecture and the Federal Republic of Nigeria, under his watchful eyes, a banditry that was just too small grew to be a big monster in northwestern Nigeria where it was not an issue. And in Katsina State, where he served as president of the country for 8 years, 10 local governments in Katsina State. I was there in 2018 for a research to do national HIV survey. And the security told us we cannot go to 10 local governments because they cannot guarantee our safety. And if there is any person who will be a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and desire the best for his people, is at least Buhari and at least the state he comes from. But if Buhari is unable to rid entire Katsina State of insurgency, banditry, and what have you, he came, spent 8 years, and left 10 territory, 10 local government were not accessible, and it spread to Zamfara.
From his own state.
From his own state, it spread to Zamfara and every other state, Kaduna, Budnungwari area, now to Niger. For goodness sake, why would anybody in northern Nigeria truly wants to heap the blame of the issue of insecurity on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu just spending 2 or 3.5 years? And so I believe that the best person to explain to Northwest is somebody who comes from that region, who understands that Buhari in his 8 years had done everything humanly possible with working with the security agencies, and that had become impossible for him to declare 100% his territory safe, his state minimum. And so it means that there is something beyond what the security agencies are doing. And we know that insecurity in northwestern Nigeria is beyond Nigeria. The bordering states are porous. The fall of Libya had made firearms readily available, and Nigeria's land space is so vast. And though you can occupy a space and remain, the Nigerian security do not have the numbers to cover every inch of this country. International criminal organizations, international ISWAP, and ISIS contributed. So Nigeria is fighting not only a local battle, it's a national battle. And I think the best person to be able to explain that to the local, because Abdulaziz Jari is a local person, is Abdulaziz Jari, who's from Northwest. Now, when you talk about reward, when you win, the presidential system is such that, look at Trump, look at everybody. When they win, they have a core team who wants to address and deliver what is their primary objective. The president came.
Okay.
He wants to deal with economy, and he ensured that there is a team that is dealing with the economy. But he gave northern Nigeria agriculture. He gave a Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, and those are where Nigeria has the worst indices. We have the worst indices, and if you have leaders who are from northern Nigeria heading those ministries, there are no better person to deal with the issues of poor indices than those people. And I think he has given opportunity. Governors or leaders should have supported them to succeed and changing this around.
Inshallah, do we have time? We are pressed. We need to.
So from what Dr. Tanko Yakasai has said, he has admitted much that the APC, since 2015, has not done Nigeria well, irrespective of which administration.
Let him answer.
I think that is twisting the facts.
Yes.
I'm just saying that,
Or is it the issue under Buhari?
No, the issue of insecurity, it started right during Obasanjo's time. Nigeria has been bedoubled with insecurity even over Obasanjo's time. If you remember,
okay,
Zaki Biam, if you remember, Bayelsa, there were issues of insecurity. If you remember the OPC that came to Kwara, they said they want to sack the Gambaris. It was an issue of APC. It moved to Yar'Adua time.
Okay.
And so it's every regime that comes addresses one form of insecurity or the other. In fact, Yar'Adua has to do amnesty program to deal with the issues of insecurity in the Niger Delta area. Every regime faces insecurity.
Successfully dealt with.
Everybody tries to do his best.
Okay, we would have loved to interrogate you, Dima, but we are truly out of time.
You can invite me next time.
Yeah, sure. There'll be next time. I think you discharge yourself creditably and all that, but we'll have follow-up questions we'll reserve for you next time. We'll have to indeed bring our listeners and viewers into the program now as we share your views.
Thank you very much.
Our first letter is from Steve Omar Ofozo from Lagos. And Steve says, in all sincerity, is the subsidy removal benefits not supposed to have translated to good roads, schools, healthcare, housing, as well as good life for Nigerians across the country? As I write, it's no news that Bini Agbonicha Road, Bini Sapele Wari Road, and Bini Aochi Okene Road have all become practically impassable. And I ask again, is South-South, Southeast no longer part of Nigeria? Incidentally, Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road of over 15 trillion naira that only God knows the year it's going to be completed, has become one of the major developments the present APC administration is fronting as success in about 4 years. I submit that with all sense of responsibility that Nigeria of today deserves nothing other than total and sincere restructuring for true federalism to be operational, or let the federating nationalities peacefully go their different ways. Just thinking aloud as a stitch in time saves 9. Take it or leave it. Thank you. And then Emmanuel Nkama from Alimosho, Lagos, also sent in a mail which says, Please, I crave your indulgence to observe that former Vice President and ADC presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar promises to return the subsidy on fuel if elected in 2027, and it is in order and commendable. This is because the removal of the fuel subsidy by President Tinubu in 2023 has not benefited the people, especially the ordinary Nigerians. Sadly enough, the removal of the fuel subsidy and its windfall has only benefited the state governors, who are now getting humongous allocations of billions of naira, which does not translate to economic welfare for the people in the various states. Here's calling on Nigerians to come out in their numbers and vote for the candidate of their choice, who they think will turn things around and ameliorate their economic hardship and poverty, which the removal of fuel subsidy and corruption brought about. God have mercy on Nigeria. The third one is from Adama James from Abuja. And he says, it should be noted that the All Progressives Congress is a political party, not an anti-corruption agency or a court of law. Political parties do all they can to win elections. If the APC likes, let it include ex-convicts, people with questionable characters in their presidential campaign council. What matters is what the electorate thinks of the party. If the Nigerian voters feel that, amongst other things, the membership of the council is an insult on the people's sensibility and not in the interest of the country, they should protest with their ballot papers and send them out of power. Nigerian voters are the major stakeholders that can teach politicians lessons they will not forget in a hurry, and to do the right thing, just as witnessed in the just concluded Osun State governorship election.
Okay, we have two more. I'll just quickly run through them. Anosionwu Ugochukwu has written in from Lagos, and the mail reads, we run a constitutional, democratic, civil rule where the three tiers of government are vested with the duties to make laws, manage finance, ensure security and welfare of the citizens. But it beats me hollow how every problem in the community or village is heaped on the federal government. Governors are getting almost 3 times of their previous allocation, but the focus is not on them. Let us change our revenue line and constitution so that Nigeria can only be managed by one entity. Last month, states and the federal government shared 4.4 trillion naira. Go to the states and local government roads. It's a mess. Local government areas are getting 5 billion naira in a month. We canvass for LGA autonomy, but is it working even with the Supreme Court ruling? Then this last one is from Mark Patrick Linus, who has written in from Abuja. There's a narrative in our polity that is becoming consistent lately. Unfortunately, the government and their supporters are daily rubbing it in our faces with so much impunity. The media is helping to amplify it for them without following the money and asking questions. I'm referring to the billions shared to state governors. There's no doubt billions are given to state governors with little or nothing to show for it except using it for elephant projects that don't have direct impact on the people. However, the elephant in the room is reports allege that APC governors pulled up to 800 billion naira via monthly state deductions from the FAC account to fund Tinubu's 2027 re-election. The funds were allegedly channeled through political structures like the Renewed Hope Network. The media, as the fourth estate of the realm, has a responsibility of asking questions, investigating, and reporting back to the people whether these billions are used for what they're meant for, and report back to Nigerians.
Thank you so much for the mails. I don't think I agree with the last writer. The media has not really done much on that huge allegation coming from within the Governors Forum itself. Perhaps I will spare time to dig into it, but I have to thank you so much for joining us today. Ija Olani is telling Ujueje that it's not 7 to 8 hours that one spends on that Bini Asaba Road, that he spent 2 days there. It's not long that he came out. Perhaps the Minister of Works, Umahi, will get there today and begin to see how perhaps take that road construction away from the private firm that is handling the PPP and perhaps take it back to the ministry for complete rehabilitation. Thank you so much for joining us today on behalf of my colleagues. My name is Amici Anapwe. Have a good time.